Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Angelo. Welcome back to A Story Called Fighting. Today what we're going to be breaking down is the upcoming Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul on November 28th, I believe it is, with Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. as the undercard. It's going to be interesting. It's put on by a new company, new app called Triller, which is apparently going to be like the new TikTok or something like that. So I want to get into who I think is going to be winning this fight, who I think is going to be losing, and how I think it's going to go overall. So, Nate Robinson has agreed to box Jake Paul, YouTuber Jake Paul, now turned artist slash, I guess, boxer. Jake Paul has 2 fights so far. One was against Deji, who's a YouTuber. His older brother KSI boxed Logan's older brother, Logan. First fight between them was a draw, and then KSI won the second one, barely. Jake beat Deji, and then he fought KSI's good friend Gib, and then beat Gib in like, I don't know, I think like a minute. It was pretty crazy. It's kind of an interesting fight, that one. Kind of like Gib almost beat himself. So now Nate Robinson is fighting Jake Paul, and it's interesting because not a lot of people really even know who Nate Robinson is. Not a lot of people remember him, even when he was, you know, popular. I mean, he was probably popular in the sports world, but I don't really think Nate Robinson has ever been someone who's super famous, especially now. It's the thing about being in the NBA or NFL, especially because it's a team sport. People really do forget about you unless you're someone like Kobe or LeBron or something like that. So he's going to be boxing Jake Paul. Now, I think he's doing this as more of a publicity thing more than anything. And he's also a very athletic guy. You look at his physique, he's very ripped. He's in very good shape. But I also think that he actually thinks he can beat Jake Paul. And he said it a number of times, you know, I'm an athlete. He's never faced anyone like me. Yeah, that is true. I don't think he's faced someone or anyone anywhere near as athletic as Nate Robinson is. But there is a huge difference between someone who has been boxing for 2 years, who has been training under professional coaches like BJ Flores, who was a heavyweight title contender, who has a very good record, and Shane Mosley for 6 months. He trained with him the whole fight with Gib. The whole Gib fight, he was living in Big Bear with Shane Mosley, training every day. So I mean, there's a big difference between that. And a lot of people, we do this as men. We tend to think that because we're athletic and we're muscular or we're fast that we can fight. It's not true. If fighting is a skill set. It is something that you learn. There are techniques, there are ways that you move, there's ways that you move your feet, there's timing, there's distance, there's things that you do to trick your opponent, there's form, there's ways that you generate power, there's ways to get in and out so you're not you know, in the pocket of being able to get hit. There's a lot to it. And that's something Nate has never really done. Maybe boxing for, you know, as a workout for basketball, but, or, you know, just to stay in good shape, but actually sparring and get in there, he's basically started training, like from what I understand, about 3 to 4 months ago. He's like just started, and he's facing someone who's been trained and been training with pro boxers 2.5 years, 2 to 3 years, you know, and because he's an athlete, he kind of has this delusion like he thinks he can come in there and actually, you know, give him a good run for his money, or, you know, he actually thinks he's going to win, which is funny. It's like I said, something we do as males that we just don't understand. Until you've actually stepped in an MMA cage or a boxing ring and done it, you'll never really understand it. And until about 3 or 4 months ago, I don't think Nate really has. So it's going to be interesting to see how this ends. But I got to say, I think Jake Paul is going to put him away in the first round. Jake's quite a bit bigger. He's got probably 20 pounds on him. Nate looks like he walks around at about 170, 175. Jake walks around, I believe, at about 200. So they're going to meet at a catch weight, obviously. But Jake also has a lot more power. And we see in videos of him knocking out people who have, you know, been boxing for a little bit. He's knocking out amateur boxers. I'm sure he'd like to say that he's knocking out, you know, he might be knocking out pro boxers, but they're obviously very low level pro boxers, because most of the videos you see, the dudes are just dropping their hands or just walking straight into punches, or guys who have never boxed before who are challenging him. It's usually who he's knocking out. Lower level pros, amateurs, and guys who have never boxed before. So, but still, it's not enough time to you can't make up 2.5 years of training with 3 or 4 months. It's not going to happen. So I predict an early KO for Jake Paul. I'm sure he's going to hit him with a good straight or a left hook or something, and it's going to be good night. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know about what you guys think about athletes thinking they can box when they've never boxed a day in their life. It's kind of becoming a trend. We see more people, we see Antonio Brown was going to box Logan Paul, which I'm glad he didn't, because he would have gotten beat bad. He would have gotten knocked out within 2 rounds, 100%. So what do you think about that? Would you like to see more celebrities in the ring? Who do you think would be good matchups? Be interested to hear. I'll tell you one that I would like to see. I'd really like to see a guy named Dylan Dennis, who's Conor McGregor's training partner and actually jiu-jitsu coach. I'd like to see him versus Logan Paul. That would be interesting. If it's an MMA fight, Dylan wins within a minute or two, because he's just going to take him to the ground, maybe even pull guard, and just get him in a heel hook or a toe hold. But it's not an MMA fight, it's boxing. So Logan would have the advantage, and Dylan does not have the prettiest hands. So, well, at least the last we saw of him, maybe he's improved, who knows. But I think that would be a really, really interesting fight. So we'll see if that happens in the future. But yeah, I'm predicting an early KO for Jake Paul. I don't see it any other way. It's just when you've never boxed before, there's so much about it that you don't understand. And it's not a sport that you play around. You play around boxing, you got a broken nose. You play around boxing, you're unconscious. It's not one of those sports that you play. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be on November 28th, I believe, and we'll see what happens. All right, guys, my name's Angelo. This is A Story Called Fighting, and we'll see you guys next time.